Ladies and gentlemen, hello. And welcome to Wizkid, a game for which I'm going to have to apologise multiple times. Let's choose our language and go through a few things while this starts up. I have with me on the couch today Corn Dan. If you are there, say hello.
Hello.
Hello. So first of all, I have to apologise because Wizkid is unfortunately a really good game. It's also possibly, I think it's up there as one of the weirdest games we're likely to see in Big Bad Game-a-Thon this year. So I think that makes up for it a bit. I'm also quite sick. We may have to mercy kill this run, but hopefully that won't happen. And yeah, I just hope you're prepared for the terrifying weirdness that's about to happen. I will give a flashing lights warning at one point. There is one point where the game goes a little bit crazy with making the screen colours and everything flash. Yeah, but I'll warn you in advance. But I'm just enjoying this intro because I haven't seen it play out properly in so long.
It's fantastic.
It's a beautiful thing. So this is a sequel to a game called Wizfall, which plays absolutely nothing like this. We will go over the plot a little bit, and we've just exploded into red orbs for some reason. But yeah, we'll go over the plot of the games in a little bit because that factors in somewhat. But we want to set things up. We're going to set the difficulty to easy, both because I'm kind of sick and it speeds a few things up. And we will start off on round 1 rather than on the boot camp. So, I think we are just about ready to go.
I would agree.
So, let's get this started. So, the main gameplay mechanic in this, and this is a mishmash of many game mechanics, is you smash things with your weird floating head. In this instance, butterflies. We smack blocks into them. What we're actually trying to do is smash them in such a way that they will give us little colour orbs which fill up the musical stave that we can see at the top. So in this instance, yeah, that's kind of the basic premise of how some of the game works. I say some of the game because this game transcends genres and ideas and basically everything else. And it does a lot of the stuff really, really well. Like, the physics are incredibly responsive. It just feels right when you hit a block at a certain speed. It goes roughly where you would expect it to.
It also feels really weird. Fyzzu had me test this game for Cuso Grande 3? It's been a while.
4, I think it was this year. Actually, no, you're right. I may have had you test it for 3, but I didn't get the opportunity to use it.
Right. Correct. And, so, I was not told anything about this game, right? Other than, you're this green thing, go have fun.
So, okay,
and I'll tell you what, it's kind of satisfying to go, like, hit things and explode them with your head.
We've filled up the musical stave, but unfortunately we're going to have to keep going anyway. Filling up the musical stave gives you what the game colloquially refers to as a golden shower. Do not Google what that is, but in this instance it just refers to coins dropping out of the sky. We need a certain amount of money to progress properly, so we're going to have to go back into head mode, and we'll explain the rest of the shop function once we fill up the stave again, which should hopefully give us enough money to progress with what we need to actually do. But there's just a certain satisfaction in kind of just smacking headfirst into all of these blocks, sending them flying across the screen and killing dozens of enemies.
And Fyzzu makes this look a lot easier than it is. It's really easy in some of these stages, especially like this one, to basically use up all of your blocks on one of the like groups and not the others.
Yes. So, okay.
And so Fyzzu makes this look really easy. Like, it's super easy to control these and put everything exactly where you want and stuff. And it is when you know what you are doing and how to control all that. But for the average player starting, it's actually surprisingly difficult.
It's not the easiest game in the world, but the majority of its difficulty comes from something else, which we'll get to shortly. The actual gameplay itself is kind of rough until you get used to it, and all we need right now, if you can see the stave at the top clearly, is a single red note. And we are completely at the mercy of RNG as to what colour notes it's actually going to give us. We've got 2 green on screen at the moment, which are completely useless to it. 3 green on screen. So yeah, we're kind of... We just need to hope.
So, yeah,
2
you
more
get
green?
those that come up by hitting more than one thing with the same block.
It gave us the red that we needed there, but it was the last kill of the screen, so all of the colour drops just turned into... There we go, that's what we need. We took a bit of health damage, which is bad, but we can actually mitigate that. There are occasions when you need to take health damage, but in this instance... Okay, we need to buy on this level everything in the shop. Stars are your health, but there's a neat little trick that they do in this, which is that if you buy a star and you have full health, it actually gives you the money instead. So we can just get all of the money we need by repeatedly buying stars while on full health and purchase everything. So now we're in body mode, which is kind of an adventure game section, if you can believe it. What we need to do here is we need to go and get some items, and we also need to find our way off the level. There are multiple ways of finishing almost every level in the game, but most of them are very, very bad for you. To 100% the game and get the good ending, you need to collect 8 kittens throughout. Most of the kittens, when you pick them up, will skip you ahead more than one level, which is very, very bad. You don't want that to happen. And just to show off some of this game's toilet humour, we're going to use the toilet.
Well, I mean, you need to sometimes.
Sometimes you've just got to go, but to get out of this cave, we actually do need to use the toilet. We needed to head up in there to pick up the spiked cola, but if we use this urinal, it's broken, and this underground cave starts flooding, so we can jump into the buckets, and it will rise us back up to the top. So there we go, we're back up. And we can go over here and ring the bell. It's pretty good about letting you know when there's something you can use. Clue popped up in the top right when we did that.
Yeah.
And when there's an item you can use, it will automatically use it. So we try and open this door. There's an angry dog there. Fortunately, we have a newspaper. We can put the newspaper through the slot, and we can try the door again. It turns out that the dog was just trying to go to the toilet. He just needed the newspaper for that.
Well...
Which leads us to this area, where we push this button and the amazing donkey appears. In flashes of camera flashes, because everyone loves the amazing donkey. And we need him to get across there. The dog has now left the toilet and left graffiti behind, because that's kind of rude of him, but hey, dogs, toilets, I'm not going into it. So we use the carrot on the stick to lead the donkey ahead so that it will catapult us up to the top here where we can find Oxygum. We use the token we picked up from the shop earlier, and this makes the first kitten appear. The first kitten we want, anyway. And we drop down into level 2. There are several other ways of finishing that level, but they will warp us ahead to rounds 3 or 4 or 5, which will prevent us from actually getting to the final level of the game. And as this is a 100% run, we really want to get to the final level of the game. I need to show that off to you, because the ending to this game is something truly spectacular. And as you watch this, I want the people who haven't seen this before, and haven't seen the ending to this before, to try and guess what the final boss of this game is going to be.
I would have never guessed it.
I'm not paying a great deal of attention to chats, because this game does require a good amount of focus, and it's fairly RNG heavy as well. This area is painful, because we just kind of get penguins spawning, and there is no really easy or good way to deal with them when they are above you. You can pull off some amazing trick shots in this, and I would genuinely love to see like a TAS of this game if that were possible. Because I feel like you could probably do some stuff to clear entire screens and entire levels with a single hit. So once again, we're stuck needing just one red note. Could ideally do with a bit more money to be on the safe side, but we should be okay if a red appears.
Well, I mean, you can do the same thing you did before, correct?
Yes, but we need enough money. We need enough money to buy the star, and we need to actually have full health for that to work. That's why taking a hit can be problematic. And unfortunately, that's something that we genuinely need to do in a couple of levels. One way of finishing levels in this game, other than finding an obscure adventure game style method of doing it, is... there's the red we need. And all enemies will also turn into coins when you do that, so that gives you yet more bonus money. But one way of finishing a level is to finish every one of these head screens on the level. So there are two things that we need on this level. We need the fishbone key and we need the red specs. And we can fill up the stave a little bit by making all of these bubbles appear. The red specks make everything seem red, but they also let us see other things. So, for instance, if we jump on this 5th panel, we can see the door that we need to go through. If we jump on the 6th, we can see that our poor donkey didn't actually make it, and is now resting peacefully on the boat at the bottom of the ocean. But if we go through this door with the fishbone key, we find the hidden kitten that we need to proceed to level 3.
Well, I mean, the donkey did put forth a really good effort.
Level 3 is probably my least favourite level in the entire game. It is really, really difficult, it is really precise, and the correct way of finishing it is to actually beat all of the stages.
I could not do it. I struggled with level 3.
Level 3 is a complete jerk. I genuinely believe it's probably the single hardest level in the game. Some of the others are much worse if you don't know what you're doing, but level 3 is probably the worst if you do know what you're doing.
I think a lot of that too is you get a lot of levels in here like this one where you don't have a lot of blocks and you're trying to hit things that are incredibly small.
Yep. And right now it hasn't given me a power-up. There are 2 power-ups in the game that you can get. So you can get a red nose, which means that blocks bounce on you when they hit you, and you can get teeth, which lets you actually just pick up and drag blocks around, which is obviously incredibly useful for so many reasons. Fortunately, failing a level isn't a huge problem. It pretty much just moves you on to the next one, but adds it back into the rotation. The game will also occasionally take mercy on you, and if you fail a level repeatedly, it'll just count as completed regardless, so... it's, you know, it could be worse. This is a fairly kind game in some ways, despite how incredibly evil it is in others. Like, for instance... Yep, which unfortunately we couldn't get. But figuring out the correct method, or the correct kittens to pick up to actually make it through to the final stage, that's where this gets rough. And I've screwed up a little bit, unfortunately, but that's fine. We can deal with it.
You just need to go back through and do that particular one.
I need to go back through. The only item we need here is the red specs, but what we need to do here is... oh god, rubber ducks are the single worst enemy in the game. So for this level, for 100% category, we need to be on an even amount of health. So we either want 2 or 4 stars of health. Rubber ducks are the worst enemies in the game because they are small, they are fast, and they will chase you around the entire screen and jump at you. They are one of the few enemies that doesn't just follow a set pattern but will actively try to kill you.
They are the Untitled Goose of this world.
They really are. This is Untitled Rubber Duck game. That's fine. I'm not too worried about the fact that we're on 1 health at the moment. We've got the lives, and this is on easy difficulty, so failure is not too much of a problem. There are places we can go to pick up extra lives, but that's usually a giant waste of time, so I won't bother. Depending on how much money we get, I can buy some extra stars at the end of this anyway. We'll pick up that green.
I mean, you do have enough for an extra star currently.
I do, and that is exactly what I need, because we need to be on even health. This is something that is going to confuse a lot of people when you see it. I will just say that it's hinted at in the manual. There's the blue that we need. We'll get as much money as we can so that we can fill up our health afterwards.
Yeah.
But okay, we will get the star so that we're on even health. We will get the red specs. And we will go in here, and you can see that there is lava here. Lava doesn't hurt you if you have an even amount of health. If you have 1, 3, or 5 stars of health, it will kill you. This is hinted at vaguely in the manual. I'll pick up an extra life, Sonic style. And now we need to actually just finish this level the normal way, but we'll pick up as many stars as we can first. So we picked up an A there, which is not actually an A, it just looks like one, and I will explain what that is and what that does a lot later on. As a matter of fact, most of the items in this game, good luck figuring out what they're used for the majority of the game.
Well, and this is like an old school adventure game in that some of the items really don't matter.
Yeah, a few of those are incredibly obvious, like the red herring and the white elephant, because those are, you know, sayings for useless items. Others, on the other hand, you can't quite be sure. It's a little bit tricksy, especially when you're skipping levels by accident. Well, that was terrible. It will also let you play a crossword game if you fail, and you can win money by doing that, just in case, you know, you're running out of cash, and the game takes mercy on you quite a lot. Which is kind, because this game is otherwise kind of cruel in a lot of ways. The musical stave does carry over between levels, which is why I am still picking it up and filling it in throughout these stages.
It's super useful to have around, especially early on in the level.
There we go. I cannot believe that worked.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, that was completely accidental. You can pretty much assume that if I do something really impressive in this, it is completely accidental. I'm unfortunately not that good at this game. I can beat this game consistently, but that's about the limit of my ability here. There are some additional tricks you can do, and I swear that there was a way I found out years ago when I was a child to make certain colours appear, but I have been completely unable to find either any information about that on the internet or any way of doing it, so perhaps I just imagined that. For now, we don't have too many more levels on this stage to go, and then the game will start getting really weird. And the next level is one of the...
than it already is.
Oh yeah, this game just kind of gets weirder as it goes on. Unfortunately, you kind of have to bear with me on this level. This is definitely one of the slower ones, simply because it's one of the few that you have to complete in head mode, and it's also one of the most difficult to complete in head mode because you have a lot of small targets and not a lot of blocks to do things with. We'll see if we can do this. No. It will eventually take mercy on us if we keep failing, so I'm not too concerned. We'll get through this.
Well, unfortunately, it doesn't take your lives when you fail.
No, it's... Oh my god. It's pretty good about most of these things. So yeah, I think it's only these 2 levels that we've got left to do, so...
Yep.
Should be fun. We'll get there in the end, or the game will take mercy on us, and it will let us just continue anyway. Okay, that wasn't bad.
I mean, I suppose I'll take whatever I can get.
Just focusing for a moment, I apologise for the silence and lack of commentary. I want to try and kill as many of these things as possible before moving over to this side.
Yeah, I mean, I think this level shows a good difficulty with trying to play this blind. that every time you think that you're going to be done with one of these because, you killed everything, it just drops another wave of enemies.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, it's just this one left, and the game is probably at the point where it's willing to kind of take mercy on us if things go horribly wrong. Hey! And hopefully that will give us the kitten.
Actually is surprisingly good.
Okay, elementary, my dear Wizkid, and this is where the game gets really weird.
Chat's saying that it seems like there's 3 waves per screen, and that's not always the case.
No, not always. Sometimes, most of the time perhaps, but not always as far as I know.
It's almost like they kind of take pity on you if you're, for some of these like more difficult stages and just give you 2 waves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some of the other waves that are easy are like 4.
This level we actually need quite a lot of money. I think that this is one of the few levels where stars also cost a ridiculous amount so that you can't do the traditional star trick. I think stars are 950 on this, which, if you can afford that, you can afford everything in the shop anyway. So this level does require you to get money the old-fashioned way, as it were. We will finish the stave here because all of those enemies on screen will turn into coins. That will give us a nice bonus, and if we can pick up all of those, we get a whiz-tastic $100 bonus. This is where we'll also use the hidden screen. Hidden screens are always a good thing. They cost you money to enter, but they give you free cash, and it's more cash than you pay to actually enter the stage. So in this case, we will just go and pick up all of this money.
Because it's free money.
Yep, and this should give us all of the money that we need to finish this stage. And again, this is kind of where the game gets weird. The 2 items we need here are the bonbon and the flying scarf. Now we can drop into body mode. While we wait for the plane to arrive, we can pick up some of those. Now you need the flying scarf to fly the plane, obviously. You can't fly a plane without a flying scarf.
That's knows that you can only fly planes if you have scarves.
I know that we can fly up off the screen here to go to level 6, which again we don't want to do because we need to get all of the kittens. There are ways to skip forward through levels, but not backwards. So we got the cross from there, which we needed, and now we move down into the tree into a pawn shop run by this clown. It's not really a pawn shop because we're not trading in items for money, we're trading them in for other items. And that's kind of what we need to do. We need to swap items with him until we get all of the items that we need. So he wants the cola for the teddy bear, and he wants the teddy bear or the present for the diamond ring, so there's the cola. So now we give him the cola and he'll drink the cola, but because it's happy cola, he's now a little bit out of it, a little bit drunk, which will work to our advantage. So at this point we just need to swap out items and make sure we have cross, 2 diamonds, match and spade, which we do. Now jumping on this, because he's had the happy cola, he will take us down instead of back up, but there is still no kitten here, which is why we have the spade. Because we need to dig down through this level, because for some mysterious reason the kitten is not in front of the exit, but is buried several screens below it.
Because this makes about as much sense as the rest of the game.
Pretty much.
The best way I can describe some of the things on how to do this game is if you know how to play like old school adventure games and their ridiculous stupid logic, right, that's about what you need to do in this game most of the time.
Well, for the next couple of levels, the game developers kind of got bored with their own idea of the game and decided to mix things up. So we're on Ghost of Wizkid Past at the moment, and the gimmick in this level is that we can't actually die. The difficulty with this level is that to complete this level properly, the 100% way, we need to die. So enemies will cause us 0 damage, which I can just walk into this penguin and it does nothing. Which is a problem, because we need to die. And again, there are vague hints to this in the manual. Yeah. We kind of need to find a way to die, and we'll get there, I assure you. We've got the teeth at the moment, which makes Wizkid look utterly terrifying, because look at that horrific grin.
Oh, the teeth are amazing.
Especially when he's looking...
In general,
it's when he's looking directly at the camera it's particularly horrifying.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that the nose is the better of the two pickups in general.
I agree.
Just because you can use that to fill the music bar a lot easier by bouncing the same thing. But the teeth are really good for like some of these precision things like those scoop ducks.
The teeth are excellent on, for instance, level 3, where you can just use the same block over and over and you can aim it incredibly precisely. But it's probably time, since we're kind of... Oh, it's the ducks. It's probably time to talk about the plot of these games, because this is going to come into play. So, the original game, Wizfall, was a game in which the evil Zark came to the land of Wiz and drained it of colour, and Wizard and Wizball and their cat Nifter managed to fight him off and restore colour to the land. At the end of that, and this is how we die, we go to the hidden screen and use bombs to kill ourselves. They are the only thing on this level that will hurt us. After defeating Zark, Wizard and Wizball got married and had a kid, which is Wizkid, and Nifter had 8 kittens. In Wizkid, Zark has come back, and we've turned into a ghost and moved into the grave because we died, and Dracula is here, but thankfully we've picked up the cross, so he will explode into a kitten. Zark has returned. He has kidnapped Wizball and Wizard and taken them to a castle, and he's imprisoned Nifter, and her 8 kittens are spread across the land. So we need to pick up all of the kittens and try to free our mum and dad and Nifter herself. So at this point the game kind of throws back a little bit to Wizball. It did not play like this, though it was kind of a side-scrolling shooter. And this is the level where there is a flashing lights warning. Once again, this is kind of the point where the developers, I think, got slightly bored with the basic mechanics of the game and decided to mix it up a little bit. And it's sensible software, and so they tended to. There will be flashing lights on this stage. I will try to avoid them as much as possible. These asteroids, if I shoot or ram into them, will result in flashing lights, so for everyone's sanity, I'm just going to try to avoid them instead. And the boss, every time I shoot him, there will be flashing lights, and that, unfortunately, is unavoidable.
There's nothing you can do about that.
Nope, I have to shoot the boss. Okay, we're safe for the moment. I will give you a warning when the boss is on screen and when it goes. If you see the asteroids on screen, it may be worth playing it safe and closing your eyes if you are sensitive to flashing lights. But I'll do my best to not have that happen. So this is kind of an auto-scroller. It's a nice, fairly chill level. It's not too difficult. It gives you a lot of health if you're running low. There's the asteroids, and unfortunately we now also have falling, flashy things. Okay, close your eyes if you're sensitive to flashing lights, because this is about to get bright. The easiest way to beat this boss, and he is dead, you can look again, is just to move behind him, because none of his attacks go backwards. This does not work the second time we fight him in a moment. Oh, that's fine.
So it's like dealing with Skelly-chan.
Pretty much, yeah. Unfortunately, he doesn't make as interesting noises as Skelly-chan.
Well, I would argue those are the most interesting noises of this whole marathon.
I will say that, no, I've totally forgotten what I was going to say. That's fine. Doesn't matter. This is just a nice chill level. We can relax and enjoy the auto-scrolleriness of it. But Wizfall itself was a really weird game. It was kind of a side-scrolling shooter where you were a bouncing ball, but unlike a lot of other games where you play as a bouncing ball, you controlled it by applying spin while you were in mid-air. You didn't bounce based on holding buttons down while you were on the ground or anything like that. You just bounced constantly and had to apply spin in the air to try and get to where you wanted to go, while also shooting at enemies.
It's a little weird.
It was a really, really fun game. It's just a really difficult one, and again, kind of a nightmare to control. There were ways of mitigating that. Some of the power-ups gave you more direct control, but no, I'd say it's worth a shot as a curiosity.
I played it after you made me play this, and I like it. It's just weird.
Yep, pretty much. Okay, once again, close your eyes, because we've got to kill the boss. We can move behind him for the first phase, because now there is a second phase to this fight. But now the side eyeballs come out, and we have to kill them as well. And they will just shoot at wherever your position is, so there is no point in staying behind. And there we go, this will make a kitten appear on the right hand side of the screen, and we're done with this level, and I'm afraid that this is where the game starts to get weird. Weirder. More weird.
Yeah, it starts to get weird.
All of them.
It's been pretty weird.
Well, we're at the circus now. We've got jesters and clowns and things, and inevitably rubber ducks, because I hate my life.
Well, but you have the teeth, so it's easier to deal with the ducks that way.
It's easier to deal with most things with these, thankfully. I can just kind of pick up these Fruit Loops and hurl them. Or are they lifesavers? I don't know. This is a British game. It's probably neither of these things. So once again, we need money on this stage.
Some sort of weird candy that we'd never know what it was.
There was a candy that looked like that over here. We really need the red nose for this section, but that's not happening, so... Thankfully, this stage is not one of the ones. This stage is not one of the ones where we need to actually complete it by doing all of the stages, because this level is... it's got some focus on trick shots, although I've gotten pretty good at doing most of those. That's probably not going to be nearly enough money, but we'll see how it goes. We may have to do another loop through. We can do the hidden screen.
And we need the sharp pin for this one, correct?
We need everything for this one. We need the sharp pin, the mouse, and the TNT. Technically, we only need the TNT, but since we're doing this 100% and going through lots of oddities, yeah, we want pretty much everything. It doesn't make a great deal if we fail these stages, the hidden screen ones, so that's fine. Should have just enough money now, actually. So we need 550. There we go, we've either sharp pin, the mouse, and the TNT, and back to body mode. So, we will use the mouse on the cheese. The mouse can eat the cheese and be hungry and happy, and now incredibly fat. So now we pop the mouse with the pin, which somehow lowers the 100-kilogram weight, which we then jump onto, which smashes that hole there. So we can jump into. And this is where we find the green diamond of the diamonds we've been picking up, and this is a complete pain to actually try and grab. Because you kind of need to time your jump so that you land right before, and yes, that is a terrifying clown in the Jack-in-the-Box, right before it reaches the side. There we go, second try, I'm okay with that. Now we use the TNT in the cannon, the match on the TNT, and that's this stage complete. We don't need to wear a cooking pot as a helmet, we are not Guybrush Threepwood.
Well, if you were Guybrush Threepwood, you would be a mighty pirate and could hold your breath for 10 minutes.
Fair warning, this is where the game gets even weirder. And if you don't believe me, just watch the mouth of the character in the background. There you go.
I mean, haven't we said that as a as a warning? Every level this gets weirder.
Pretty much. I mean, I kind of expected that my commentary for this was probably going to be this is where the game gets weird for every single level. Because it manages to introduce something new and strange every single time, and I've horribly destroyed this level, but that doesn't really matter.
I mean, as long as they die.
Yeah, we don't need money on this level, but what I do want to do is fill up the stave before we reach the end, because when you finish a cycle of levels, a kitten will appear, which usually you don't want to pick up because it will normally warp you more than one stage ahead. In this case, it doesn't. It's the only way to finish the level. But if you don't pick up the kitten, you have to redo the entire cycle of levels again, which we really don't want to happen. So there is a chance I'll deliberately fail a couple of stages if it comes down to it. Or at least I'll pretend it's deliberate.
Well, I mean, it could be deliberate. It's probably deliberate, right?
I'm definitely going to fail this one a few times because this stage is a nightmare. We don't need to worry about money here, at least. There is nothing cash-wise that we actually need. We're actually pretty good on cash for the rest of the game, now that I come to think of it. I think there's only one item we need to pick up on the next level, and then we are basically done with money. Well, we've got 3 lives as well, so that's not too much of a problem. The problem is that we need to get 2 blue notes to spawn. 3, rather. There's 1. So now we need 2 more.
No, we only need 2.
Well, we need 2 now.
Right, exactly. We only need 2.
Let me put it this way. I've gone through... While I was practicing this, for 1 or 2 stages, I went through multiple entire loops of a stage without seeing a single one of the colour that I needed. This is where RNG is a fickle mistress in this game. We are pretty much entirely reliant on its horrific whims as to whether or not we get the colours that we need. So there's a green, which we don't need, and then there was nothing. That's great, it's giving us money, which we absolutely don't need. And we're back to this stage again, which is horrific.
I mean, it's clearly, you know, us being capitalistic pigs, right? We should have all the money.
Yeah, absolutely. On the other hand, I would appreciate 2 blue musical notes, because that would mean that I'm not going to be stuck on this level for the next 20 minutes.
I think we're going to be stuck on this level for the next 20 minutes.
There's 1! And I don't care about taking the damage there. Oh, but the 1... Oh, the 1 did count. Thank you. I was worried that because we failed the level before it had reached the stave, it was going to cancel it out, but no. It was kind. It was merciful. Thank you, Wizkid. And terrifying lady in the background who appears to be barking.
So this is not the good lady.
This is not the good lady. This is the terrifying lady. So, still no blue. And that means that we're back to this horrific stage again. There's the blue. We take that. I love the little tunes it plays, and I love the fact that on this level the sound font it uses for the completed stave is barking. So there is absolutely nothing that we need here. So we just go into body mode and we jump into her mouth. And there we go, we get a spotlight, we're amazing. And then we see either our giant head or Wizball. And that's horrifying and terrifying, but it's okay, it turns out it was just a nightmare. So we wake up, and we jump up on the top bunk 3 times, and that makes the yellow diamond appear. Yeah, this game's kind of odd. And now all we need to do is finish this stage, and we are done with this horrible, weird level. Once
so what
again,
do we use the diamonds for?
You will find that out on the very next level. But if anyone has any guesses as to the final boss, we're coming up on that. We're also coming up on one of the oddest endings I can think of. And you know what? There we go. It took mercy on us. They just went, you know what? You failed this level a lot. It's fine. You're done. So we'll pick up the kitten,
pretty much.
And we will move on to round 9, Jailhouse Wiz. This is where Nifter is imprisoned. Nifter being the cat, the mother of all the kittens we've been picking up.
Nifter as a cat's name is a very British sort of name.
I really like it as a cat's name, but then I am, I suppose, British, so hey. On the other hand, this is the land of Wiz, with Wizard, Wizball, and Wizkid, so... Alright, we need $200 on this level, I believe, but there are some hidden screens. Or 200 Wizbucks, as I believe they're called. Thinking about it, this is a British game. I have no idea why it's using dollars.
Well, because the world economy runs on dollars?
I'm going to choose not to respond to that. We have just enough money for the hidden screen, which should be all that we need. The only item we need here is the can opener. And being that the background contains a turtle, I'm sure you can guess what we're going to use the can opener for. So we go into body mode, and we use the can opener to open up the side of the turtle's shell, which we then jump up into. And we see a huge pile of cash. But the pile of cash seems to be held down by the glowing orb, so it's a good thing we found these 4 coloured diamonds around all of the previous levels. We can use them to disable that, and we can pick up the cash. And this gives us around about $9,900, which is not quite enough for an extra life, but that's fine, we don't need it. And, you know, we're gonna pick up an extra bit of health, because why not? We don't really need it. There's a red herring there, which we're totally not going to buy. So, now all that stands is to finish this level, and then we come up upon the final boss fight. So once again, chat, get your guesses in.
Whatever it is, I can pretty much guarantee you're going to be wrong.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, the easiest way to do this, I think, is just to smack the TVs across. There we go.
Yeah, because they're pretty broad.
Exactly. It's easier than it is to do it with the apples. It's the same thing. The leaves on this stage, on this screen rather, are significantly easier to murder these horrific duck monsters with. This is a surprisingly brutal game, thinking about it, considering that pretty much everything you hit does explode into kind of a red splat.
Wow. Those ducks deserved it, though.
And also the bit where you can, you know, use the toilet in first stage and things fly out of the volcano. And also, I suppose, perhaps the fact that there's a golden shower when the notes are complete, and also the fact that we give the clown in the pawn shop a slightly funny drink. And you know what, this game is just full of innuendo and stuff that probably isn't for children, but they also probably won't understand most of it, so that's fine, I guess. I know that I definitely didn't get some of these references until replaying this recently, because I played this when I was probably 5, 6, something like that.
I was gonna say, is this like putting the innuendo and commentary in Disney cartoons?
Yeah, pretty much. That's how I think of it, although this game is just so strange anyway. I can remember that the dog girl level never actually worried me. That didn't scare me when I was young, but now I find that really unsettling for some reason. Just kind of this barking still photo with sharp teeth. And there's the key, and that is technically time, for reasons you will soon discover. So we unlock the cage, and Nifta says meow, which translates to thank you for rescuing me. Meow, bring all my kittens you found to help us get to Zark's castle. And we found all 8 kittens, because we did the stages in the correct order and didn't skip anything, and they will help us row the boat to Zark's castle. But we've got to watch out, because Zark is hot on our tail. And sure enough, if you don't have all 8 kittens, Zark will beat you to the castle. You will reach it, and the drawbridge will be shut. But there's Zark. We got there first. Zark says, so you finally got here, Wizkid. I will only release your parents if you can beat my high score on Wizeroids.
So the question is this: is Zark an armadillo or a mouse?
I'd say a rat, probably, but who knows? But yes, so this is why we picked up the A in the level in the lava before, because that gives us 4 credits per, or 4 lives per credit instead, and that's also why we picked up all the money on the previous level as well, because it's $250 per go, and you really don't want to get this far and only get kind of 1 credit on this, because it's not the easiest thing, and you will notice the game has just crashed. Don't worry, that's entirely intentional, or at least entirely expected. So this version of the game does unfortunately crash when we do that. So what we're going to do now is open up an entirely different version of the game.
In a totally different...
Indeed. So I just kind of have to hope that this is cropped correctly. And here we go. We have, assuming you can see this properly right now, we have Wizardoids, and you can also kind of hear faintly a tape thing in the background. So we need to beat Zark's high score, which I'm not going to do because it takes about 10 minutes to get 55,810 points. But yeah, the final boss of this game is literally playing a game of asteroids and getting 55,810 points or more to beat his high score. I'm not joking. This is the ending to the game. But you know what? That's terrible. So we are going to skip ahead to a point where I am pretty much at the point of beating his score. And we'll just kind of do the end of this, and then we'll die, and we will skip ahead so that you can see the true ending of the game. Was that enough? I can't remember.
I think so.
Nah, we'll kill a few more asteroids just in case. I think it was 55, 8, 10.
There you go.
That's probably enough. Let's just die. Game over. So, congratulations. We have 57,000 points, so we will put in FYZ because not even I can pronounce my name. And there we go. We get the long-awaited ending. The reason we don't play the game on this version is because of massive loading times. Like this. Several times during levels, at times, in fact. Zark says, "You beat my high score." The strain is too much. I must reveal myself. And it turns out that Zark was the wizard all along. Wizard says, "I've been having a few problems lately." Sob, sob.
What kind of problems are we having?
And to get attention, I faked this whole bogus sham. Will you ever forgive me, Wizkid? Yes. He can sometimes say no. So yeah, the ending of the game is that the entire game doesn't matter. The villain was actually your dad, who was just faking the whole thing for attention, and we get a load of enemies in the credits just waving at us, along with Nifta and the kittens and Wizkid and the horrifying clown and
and that weird vampire.
Yeah, it's a beautiful ending. I'm incredibly happy with this game and this ending. I don't think anyone ever expected either the final boss to be what it was or for the ending to be what it was. And yes, the amazing donkey is present as well. So I just have to thank you all for letting me showcase this beautiful game. As I say, unfortunately it's a good game, which means it's, I don't know, technically inappropriate for this, but this is Weird Block, and I think it fits here as possibly one of the weirdest games you're ever likely to see. So thank you very much, and I will... Sorry, Condan?
It is incredibly weird. You guys should play it. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I strongly suggest it. This went quite well. We didn't have too many RNG problems, but with that, thank you very much, and I will throw this back to the hosts. The end.